us your name? More recent than that last one, but I found this story on Phantoms and Monsters website from a person called Renegade Therapist. I saw a stickman entity last year. I'd never heard of this before. It was about 9:30 p.m. and I had my two dogs out. We were walking back up the driveway to my house when they both started barking. Remember that. Looking down the street, I looked, and 3 houses down there was a black stick figure zipping up and down my neighbor's driveway. It seemed to know I saw it and stopped, and then started heading our way. I immediately got panicky when I saw it and dragged the dogs into the house. I was terrified. I turned out all the lights, and I kept looking out the window, feeling like it had come into the yard. Thank God I never saw it again. The dog saw it first, which validates for me it wasn't my imagination. I saw it after they started barking at it. It was only about 4 to 5 foot tall. I'm bad at measurements by sight, but it was extremely frightening. And it wasn't walking. Think about what Tim mentioned earlier. It wasn't walking. It was gliding very fast, almost robotic. I hope I never see it again. And that's the description I've heard, like from Tim earlier and reading these other things, that it's kind of a loping walk. It's not a smooth bipedal upright walker. All right. Now, I've said that these have been noticed described most of the time black, which is why they call them the black stick man, but sometimes white, like the Clark County, Ohio one. Andrew, wasn't his described as being white?
Kind of a white gray, like a shadow, like not completely black. I mean, Still not. When he is describing it, he's like, I really don't know what I saw. It's one of those. He described it not as a jet black. I mean, I don't know. Like the one that's leaning up against the building has a brown, hue to it. So, but this one, it's shadow, gray, light gray, white.
Right. Well, the video I'm about to show you was posted on YouTube. Now, the only thing I could get was the video was posted 2 or 3 years ago, but this is from a Florida security cam in oh gosh, I had it written down earlier, but I can't remember. I think it's on the video, but it's in this was a security cam, and I edited it down just to the best views of this thing. But this
2 or 3 years ago.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Why am I getting a loop here?
That was me. Sorry.
Yeah, Beth always causing trouble. All right. Okay, this was posted. You can see the full video by Gerald Carpentier on his YouTube channel. But check this out. Possible Stickman. All right, there it starts. All right, There it is by the front tire. See that? By the driver door. Every time I watch this, I'm looking for it to go behind. There it is around the front bumper, around the front tire again. I'm looking for it to go somewhere else other than that van. To me, that would give more credence to the veracity of the video. See, there it goes again around the front tire, around the front bumper.
And up on the car.
Yeah. Isn't that freaky? Now, I'm waiting for it to go behind the tree. Yeah, Lake Worth, Florida.
Huh.
I mean, I was waiting for it to go behind the tree. To me, that would, given it a little more authenticity. As it is, just playing right around the front of that van. It's not. We can't judge anything by that. If it had gone behind the van or behind the tree,
I think it's a reflection.
Was it raining?
Well, I think it is because
I'm
the
wondering
security
because
camera.
I saw other little, I don't know, I guess bugs or something flitting around too. But I mean, I could see it if it was kind of raining a little bit. Maybe should that the raindrops catching light from something. I know in one part of the video, Andrea's talking. I can't hear her.
It's okay. All I was going to say is it doesn't show up until the mystery car that's pulls into another parking place.
Pulled up.
That's when it shows.
And you must have edited that out
from the rear
but you
view
couldn't
mirror.
see it during that point anyway.
Yeah, the original video, which was about twice as long, had several minutes of just nothing happening. And then is like a car pulled through and you could see the light shine, as it turned or whatever. And then you start seeing this thing cut up. So I don't know.
Than anything that I've heard reported too. I mean, because when you're looking at this video, it's really probably only 2-3 foot tall. And most reports put it up over 10 foot. Even when we were watching the ones on the side of the building, that thing's got to be 30 foot.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that again, it's still a cool video and fun to watch. But like Andrea said and Beth was saying, that there could be some light play going on here because it really didn't start until that other car pulled through. Yeah. Somebody mentioned spider webs. You could have said that out loud, Christine.
Sorry. You guys are talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, you didn't want to be like Beth.
What?
What? See?
I'm causing trouble again.
Yeah, I'm causing trouble again.
Yeah, that's from a friend of mine, Michelle. She posted in our watch party.
Yeah, I mean, spider webs that's a very real possibility. I mean, it's like I said, if whatever it had been had gone behind the tree, the little trees that was there, or behind the van itself, and given us some kind of depth, but it just played right around there, back and forth, up and down. I actually got up on the top of the car at some point. So, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking along that line of spider web on the camera lens itself. So,
hey guys, I've got a bad storm coming in, so I might get kicked off.
Hunker down.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing I can do. It's just gonna come get me. Yeah. But I might lose Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll miss you if you go, maybe. But
I'll try to stick around as long as I can.
Okay, good. All right. Now, the other possibility we've talked about with the stick men is the two-dimensional creatures. Now, that has been mentioned with these stick men, like we talked about with this guy. It said, all right, I'm getting some feedback loop here, guys. Somebody got it on. They say these are two-dimensional, these guys right here. But all right, I'm getting some loop here. Who's got your speakers on? All right. But another one I've come across is the two-dimensional that are different forms, different shapes that are not just this stick man out there. You know, have you ever heard of it? When I was a senior in high school, my Algebra 2 teacher recommended a book, and it's called Flatlands, and I read it. And Flatlands, it's actually called Flatlands: A Romance of Many Dimensions by Edwin A. Abbott. He was an English schoolmaster. It was called a satirical novella. It was written pseudonymously, getting tongue-tied again. That the name of A Square. The book used the fictional two-dimensional world of Flatland to comment on the hierarchy of Victorian culture, but the novella's more enduring contribution of its examination was its examination of dimensions. The story describes a two-dimensional world occupied by geometric figures, whereof women are simple line segments, while men are polygons with various numbers of sides. The narrator is A Square, a member of the cast of gentlemen and professionals who guides the readers through some of the implications of life in two dimensions. The first half of the story goes through the practicalities of existing in a two-dimensional universe. We're still getting some feedback somewhere, guys. I don't know where that is. But this book, Flatline, talked about if you could be on a two-dimensional plane and look, everything you see would look exactly the same. Nothing but a line. Everything. You know, that's all it is. That's all you would see if you were on a two-dimensional plane. And the reason I bring this up is because of what these things are described as. Yeah, go ahead.
I was talking to somebody else.
Oh, okay.
I got to hit mute.
All right. Now, Linda Gottfried, in her book Monsters Among Us, tells the story, and I didn't get permission from her, or she hadn't responded back to me yet to actually use the story, so I can't just read it verbatim. I'm just going to give you a paraphrased synopsis here. That during the summer of 1969. What happened? Hey, we have ghosts here, I guess, because my hand was not even on the mouse. I was sitting there like this. What are y'all doing to me? Boo! That was weird. Something was wanting to start the show over again. Like, okay, stop right there. Start all over.
Time.
Well, we haven't even gotten close to where we've been the two previous shows. And, we don't have that much more to go. But anyway, All right. Another one in Brunswick, Ohio, or another one in Ohio. This one's in Brunswick. What's going on with you guys up there, Andrea? You guys are a hot spot.
Ohio is awesome. You want ghosts, you want cryptid, you want strange, you want UFOs. Ohio has it all. I mean, it's the heartbeat of it all. We got it all.
We may have to do a show one day just on Ohio.
It's
because
weird
of all
here.
that. Okay. All right. This was in 1969 in Brunswick, Ohio. 7 kids and their grandmother saw a wolf shadow. I mean, they saw the outline of what they described as a wolf walking out of a garden that was on their property. They described it looking like a cardboard cutout. You know, you've seen the pictures of. I got a picture of me standing with Elvis, but it was just it was just one of those cutouts in his gold lame jacket. So, but at least I got a picture with Elvis. All right. They described it as looking like a cardboard cutout, but with distinct features. It was shaped like what they called a wolf standing on 2 legs. When it turned to leave, they saw that it was as thin as cardboard. They described it as running away on the balls of its feet, not like a human. And so that's the one that has been so rare and so hard to find. They're out there, and I've heard about them, but that's the only one I've been able to document. Well, I will say there was another, but we did not get permission to share his video. He actually denied us permission to share his video where he tells the story and shows a picture of it. But we'll share a link to his video on our page. Now, the other one that type of stick man that we were going to talk about is the stick Indians. And Andrea has got some information on the stick Indians. They're described as what? Malevolent and dangerous entities.
They are, and there's not a lot of information out there. They won't even speak the name of what these things are actually called for fear that they may call them in. There's documentation of the stick Indian all across America, wherever basically it's lush, forested, green. It goes all the way up to Canada. But the most common, we have a lot of folklore here in Ohio, but the most is with the Yakima, and that is in like the Washington territory. And they feel that these things are brought in primarily from whistling, and whistling at night really brings them in. When you know they are around, sometimes you hear like out in the distance young children playing, laughing, and sometimes you'll hear the voice of other missing people from the past, like kind of mimicking like a call or cry for help. And the whole purpose is to draw you deeper into the woods to go further away so that they can eat you. I'm
sorry.
No, you're fine.
Mimicking people that have died or gone missing, or
people who have gone missing in the woods.
Wow.
I kind of wonder if they use this entity thing kind of like how we use nursery rhymes to keep our children in check, because they say that not to whistle at night, and children shouldn't follow this because they want to bring the children deeper into the woods because they want to basically capture them and make them make them assimilate into their stick Indian tribe, so to say. And that's how they're able to kind of reproduce, is that stick Indians are stolen children. They have been known to come into Indian territory, like into their camps, steal from them, tear up their tents, take away women and children. One of the things that I found incredibly interesting that I was kind of talking to Tim about prior to us starting is I had stumbled across a Netflix documentary. I love all kinds of weird ones. And this one was 411, The Hunted. And it's talking about all these different people that end up missing. And it's like so strange. Like they are completely like gone. Their ammunition, everything. There's no prints of them walking away. They were sitting on a rock and they've disappeared. Well, that is one of the ways that these stick Indians kind of capture. They'll capture somebody and take them over into the next dimension where there would be no trace left. And a lot of these missing hunters are in locations where the stick Indian lore takes place. So if you're thinking outside of the box, it's really not that far-fetched of an idea that these hunters are missing because of stick Indians or whatever this creature really is. Right. They are found more around streams. They eat fish. According to the Yakima, they eat a lot of fish when they're kind of minding their own business, not wanting to eat man. That they really kind of do their own thing unless there is like conflict going on that's disturbing them and messing up their environment. They are very sensitive to that. And so there was a lot of mentions of it during the Yakima War between 1855 and 1858. And a lot of American settlers even have stories of it, but it's very obscure, like not a lot of detail, like, yep, I saw it, kind of deal. But that's a lot of the, only information. They are described a lot of the same way that the black stick man is described. They're tall, right. That they are very thin, no room for lungs. How does it breathe? No mouth, no eyes, no head, long, lanky arms, long, lanky legs, possible twigs coming out so it can kind of blend in. But pretty much just a very thin stick. Could you imagine a bunch of those coming at you at once? Hey,
an axe and lighter fluid at that point.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, it makes me think of the Disney Fantasia where Mickey Mouse gets into the sorcerer's book and he makes the broomstick do all of his labor and then he tries to stop it by cutting it up and it turns into a bunch of broomsticks. Okay, yeah. Anyways. That's exactly what that makes me think of.
Exactly. But then, like I said, kindling wood too. But do we have any specific stories of sightings or just legends from the Native Americans?
Lots of just brief legends. They really won't talk about it. I came across a couple of Reddits, but even those stories I kind of felt like were very embellished situations where maybe they were just already scared and they just got spooked. Right. So I really, honestly, other than the legend and lore, I didn't come across any real good stick Indian stories.
Yeah.
They won't really talk about it.
I wouldn't think so, especially if they believe it to be real. Now, when you do research on stick men or the black stick men or whatever, they do come up. So, it's part of the legend and the lore, I believe, of being a stick man.
There was one thing that I thought was pretty interesting that I didn't bring up when we were talking prior, is a lot of it sounds also, and this is just another branch off from the black stick man, sounds very similar to I apologize if I pronounce it wrong, the Wendigo, and how the Wendigo got its start and how it's described. It's an emaciated man, very, very thin. Right. Mimicking cries. It starts off, this creature starts off by cannibalism. So it also starts off by a human being warped into something else, which is kind of like with the stick Indians. They're children humans that are being warped into something else. And that they're very malevolent. And so I think, I thought that was pretty interesting, the ties between those two legends.
Exactly.
That's all I've got. Sorry.
Well, I wish we could find more. That's a freaky one. And it was something I wish we could go into. That's why. Let me pull those pictures back up again. These were pictures I found of the stick Indian, of different artist renderings of what they think the stick Indian looks like.
See, I think it's really interesting because what I did find, they did not really look like, or weren't described like that. They were described more like what the man in Clark County found or saw, or even what Tim has talked about in Topeka. So I always found it interesting that, those artist renditions, they're very Native American-esque, but I don't think they're really what the Native Americans are going for when they're describing that creature.
I wonder if they're seeing something more like that.
That's what I envisioned. That's exactly, when you showed that picture, I'm like, that's the stick Indian.
I think this one more than the other ones. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, before we get to our suppositions and theories, let's hear from another sponsor.
I love that so much. It's such a great video. Thank you so much for making that.
Hunters Society. You're welcome. And I was just telling them, I love all of them. I enjoy all of them. It's just one of those things I enjoy doing. Thankfully, that music was public domain.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think Beth keeps popping in and out, buffering wise. Okay, suppositions, theories, thoughts, questions. Well, I was going to say, Andrea, you brought this to our attention. Could this be a tulpa? Tell us about it. Wasn't it you that brought it up?
Well, I think Beth and I both were talking about it.
Okay.
So a tulpa, I think Beth had more detail on what it is, but it's basically an entity that is created by equal and unique thought. Basically, if all six of us thought of the same thing in great detail, we could create it with our mind until, and it will last until we all of us forget about it. Which is kind of goes into how you can get multiple sightings of the same thing, like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like one person sees it, they speak out about it, and then you end up with 5 or more who are like, yes, I saw that not too long afterwards, and it looked just like this, or sometimes it might be just tweaked a little bit different.
What was that movie? Was it a Michael Crichton movie? Was it Sphere? Or
I don't know.
One of those where they went down under the ocean and met the aliens.
The Abyss?
No, yeah, maybe in the Abyss. I don't remember. I was thinking it was Dustin.
No, it wasn't Sphere.
But they had to all agree to think about not remembering it or something like that so that they could go on. Was that the Abyss?
Yeah, Beth just said it's the Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it kind of, speaking from, for me, like my perspective on things, religiously, it does talk about, when 2 or more are gathered, they can make a mountain fall into the sea. So it kind of makes me wonder if the stick man is a tulpa, if it's, especially because even though we've had so many documented cases, we've seen a significant amount of them being documented since 2012 up until about 2018, 2019. And it kind of, teeters down after that. People are forgetting about it. They're not thinking about it so much anymore. On to new things.
Well, isn't that what they say? I mean, I've heard that the Slender Man can be explained that way.
That's how I've heard of the Slender Man.
Well, that was a work of fiction, and so many people got to focusing on it that supposedly there are now sightings.
That, and if you want to go way back, I kind of think Bloody Mary, kind of comes from the same concept. A slumber party game can, maybe cause something. It's just a thought. So,
yeah. I mean, it's just, my only issue with that is that it is such a recent phenomenon. Is if it had been going on for 100 years, then I could see, but then Slender Man hadn't been around that long, but it was so popular that everybody was talking about it and whatever.
Well, could Slender Man have made the uptick of the stick man? People are like, oh, I haven't had a Slender Man experience, but I remember hearing this story that I saw on YouTube or the Facebook,
Could be.
So, social media allows us to also kind of be more in touch, with people and their experiences in a way that we have never been able to, kind of discuss certain things, like all of us, we're all in different locations, we could create a tulpa. So,
oh God, that's scary. And what were you talking about, Christine?
Well, I watched the Candyman here not too long ago again for the 100th time, and it kind of reminds me of what we.
I think it's Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay.
Candyman, who can take a sunrise? Are we talking about a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a horror flick.
I haven't seen that. I've missed that one. Sorry.
Has anybody else heard of the Candyman? Okay. Yeah, it's they have two that I know of for sure. I think they were trying to come out with a third one, and then they had some sort of production issue or something like that. But yeah, it's a really good horror flick. You should try it. Check it out.
Okay. I'll take your recommendation. Now, if it's not a tulpa, in my research, I came across this one from Malaysian folklore, a hantu gala, or tall ghost. It is described as looking like a human, but as you walk nearer to it, it seems to grow taller until you can only see its legs. If you look up to try to see its face, your head will be stuck in that position. This demon will only attack you if you're trying to walk between its legs. So a long, tall, slender. From what I mean, most of the videos I could find on it were in Malaysian, I guess, I'm assuming, and I didn't have a clue what they were saying. And for some reason, it wasn't translating. But, I mean, are we talking about Malaysian folklore here? Or, go ahead.
Well, I mean, could it be? Yeah, I mean, we have Sasquatch here, and in other countries they have Yeti, the Yowie. Could it be just another name for what we're experiencing here, but it's the same thing, maybe a little bit different, because of atmospheric, differences? Could it be just somewhat? Could it be the same thing? It kind of makes me wonder, especially if it would be considered and I don't mean to jump ahead or anything, interdimensional.
Well, you are jumping ahead to the next point. Well, that's fine, because you were just doing a natural segue. So, yeah, I mean, are we the reason I brought this in here, the reason I suggested an cross-dimensional thing is because of the fact that it's been described as two-dimensional. That when they turn to the side, it's just like a thin piece of paper. You can see my notes there, and then you turn it to the side, and supposedly that's what they see when these things turn. So could it be like an opening or a portal between the second and third dimension? And then all of a sudden, these lines are stuck out here in the open, and they don't know what to do, and they're freaking out trying to get back home.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just as scared of us. They're like, But yeah, it makes me kind of wonder. I mean, that's if I were going, kind of wonder if it's interdimensional or possibly
portals. Skinwalker Ranch talks about they have reported portals out there, or is it just a hallucination? One of the more or less sinister theories is that a black stick man is merely the manifestation of a person's psyche. Are they making it up? Now, on that question, I refer back to that one with the lady who was out walking her dogs. And her dog started barking first, and she looked up to see what it was. And that's when she saw the stick figure. So do you think she was making it up if her dog saw it? I mean,
I think that it's a possibility that you could have both going on, where someone is clearly seeing something and then somebody else is like, oh yeah, I saw it too. Or because they've been reading about it a lot, or, they watch our show and then they go out and they're out hiking and they think they see something out of the corner of their eye. Could it be something, or could they just be kind of more in a heightened state at that time because now they're concerned that they may come across something? So, I mean, I think
most of the claims of having seen these things comes from when someone's tired. I ran across one where this couple had been up all night with their friends talking and carried on, and they got out to walk down the street and they saw it. Well, they were fatigued, obviously. They'd been up all night. So most of these claims have been when people were fatigued or tensed or stressed. Could that have something to do with it? And maybe not necessarily negatively, because I just thought about this. Negatively, we might, if we get over fatigued or tensed or stressed, we may start to hallucinate. But on the other end of the spectrum is because we may be more open to see things like that.
Yeah, I've thought that, are we more susceptible?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're letting our guard down.
True.
So we can actually feel what's going on around us better.
So that's, so to me, it's not really a negative thing. I mean, it could be, if someone is overly stressed or whatever, and tense and fatigued, then they may start making up some stuff. But on the other hand, they may be more open, and the veil between the dimensions is thinner at that point. So who knows?
I mean, you've got that theory where children and animals see things that us as adults don't see.
That's true.
That's because as adults, we have our guard up so much that we're blinded to what other people or children or animals can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
There's a thought.
No, it's a good thought.
Well, before we go to our final sponsor and close out, final thoughts, Tim?
Now, I know Andrea and I were talking about this earlier, is that one of the tribes that deals with it is the Shawnee. And the Shawnee start in Ohio. They moved to North Carolina at one point. They moved to Florida. They're in the Topeka area in the 1800s, about 1824, 1825. They're in the Topeka area. They then get moved down to Oklahoma territory, or then called Indian territory. Is it something that's moved along with them? Is it, has traveled with them? Because I know in Ohio they've got what they call the Ashman, which is one of the different types of Bigfoot that are out there. We've got it in Kansas. Oklahoma has one that is similar. Florida has got one that is similar. Is it you've got to think, is it something that is localizing itself to that particular area? Is it something that has come to Ohio, it's being seen in Ohio because of where the Indians were located. Is it Topeka because of where the Indians were located? So I think it's kind of an interesting theory as to, is the stick man localized to that area and it's still being seen? But that doesn't explain you're seeing in places like Edinburgh, Scotland, and in Malaysia. So you've got some different areas that it could be related to.
Exactly. Well, what are your final thoughts on all this, Tim, before we close out?
I think it'll be interesting to continue to see the research on this as it continues to develop. Even in Topeka, as I'm watching the stories develop, it's like, okay, now that the downtown area and Noto have been developed, now it's moving outside of that area. Is it going to continue to push outside? How many more sightings are we going to see? Is it going to start to decrease the level where people go, oh, it's just here. It's another thing like Topeka has ghosts because our zip code is 666 whatever.
Oh, wow. You're right. Okay. All right. Lynn, do you have any final thoughts? Are you still with us?
No, not really. I'm just listening.
Okay. All right. Beth, are you where you can not cut anybody off and give us for your final thoughts?
I do have something.
Oh, wait, Lynn. Hold up, Beth. Go ahead, baby.
You were saying, people see things like Andrea was saying, you see things out of the corner of your eye. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're distracted, sometimes you're concentrating on something, but you see something over in your peripheral vision and you turn, and of course there's nothing there. It's not necessarily, I think, that there's nothing there so much as we're not geared to see it. I think we miss a lot of things because our minds are not geared to see it. Oh, well, there's nothing there. I'm not supposed to see anything. Okay. I think we really miss out on a lot because we're not geared towards it.
Yep. Makes sense. Like Christine said, children and pets are usually more open to it than we are. All right, Beth, your turn.
Okay. I don't know, the stick figure, man, woman, whatever it is. Well, I guess it's a man. It baffles me. Is it a tulpa? Is it, I don't know, is it power of suggestion, or people are kind of like the Slender Man saying, oh, we saw it over here, so hey, I think I saw it over here. So, I mean, I don't know. It's,
well, like
time will
Tim
tell,
said,
I guess.
Waiting to see where this goes. How many more sightings are going to start popping up around the place? All right, our final sponsor, and then I'll give my closing thoughts and we'll close it out. FrankLovesBooks.com. You can find all kind of cool books on there. We've already bought a bunch from there ourselves. My final thoughts on this as we close it out is I've said it before, but the only true and irrefutable evidence of the paranormal or the strange or unusual is personal experience. If somebody says they saw a stick man, that's it for them. You can debunk all you want. You can disprove all you want. But that person's experience can never be debunked or changed. They saw what they saw. You remember our very first show, our technically very first show, was the Personnel Paranormal, where each one of us shared our different experiences. And that was their experience. That can't be argued with. And whether the stick men are evil, whether they're, a stick Indian, or whether it's the Hantu Gala, whether it's a Tulpa, what that person experienced is real for them. And here at Strange Journeys, we continue to respect that. If you can tell us that you saw a stick man, that's all we need. We're not going to sit there and argue with you and say it's a hallucination or you're tired. So don't be afraid. I mean, we all, even the ETs right here, these guys, even Beth down there, we've all had experiences, and we each believe in our experiences. And that's all we need. Whether the stick man is a real entity or not, or whether it's from second or third or fourth or fifth dimension, that's for the witness to decide. And whoever has experienced the stick man, that's your proof. That's all the proof you need right there. When we used to do our tours, we never guaranteed any evidence. We just told the people that, what you experience is between you and whatever you're experiencing it with. We can't turn the spirits on and off. You can't go out and just see a stick man. But if you've seen a stick man, that's your experience. Revel in it and enjoy it. Now, we have another show in 2 weeks. But until then, hold on a second. Here we go. We're closing out. It's time to go. All right, guys, in 2 weeks, God, I just put out the outline today, or the episode list. We're going to be talking about lesser known Bigfoot sightings. Is that what was on the list? I think it was. All right, we'll see you guys. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all for being here. Bye-bye.